I really wonder how anti-vaxxers hear the news story about the government now saying that you should not take the Johnson and Johnson vaccine unless you are incapable for whatever reason of taking either the Moderna or the Pfizer. Johnson and Johnson, big pharmaceutical company, unclear why the government would be inhibiting their pharmaceutical profits as opposed to encouraging Moderna's and Pfizer's. But there is a very, very rare occurrence of blood clots approximately 2 weeks out in some instances with the Johnson and Johnson vaccine. And they have now discouraged people from getting it unless it's absolutely necessary. And they're telling people to get the Moderna and the Pfizer. Now, we don't have any footage of anti-vaxxers hearing that and talking about it, but we do have footage of Ron Johnson trying to deal with one of his anti-vaxxer supporters,
Todd Callender.
Todd Callender, who is a Rumble host, I guess.
Free speech, baby.
And here is Ron Johnson, easily the stupidest person in the Senate.
Tommy Tuberville.
That's true. That's true. But before Tuberville. But he can regain his title. Here is this exchange between Ron Johnson and... Watch how Ron Johnson pushes back on this.
The way to approach this is from a criminal point of view, because that's what has happened. And until we start holding people accountable, Fauci, number one, you're going to see people still falling out, still getting sick. You've got more than 100 doctors here, all of whom will tell you that these shots caused vaccine-induced AIDS. They purposefully gave people AIDS. Right? They knew this. The FDA, 2 weeks prior to their emergency use authorization license, had an internal review, an internal audit function that had the infamous page 16. They knew all of this, and yet they licensed these shots anyway. And then you have the trickery with interchangeable or not, and is it a legally distinct thing or not? This is criminal intent. And until we address this as being that, we're stuck. We're not going to get over this.
So let me challenge you there.
Please.
That's way down the road. You got to do one step at a time.
Pause it for 1 second.
Yeah. He doesn't, that's why I sent this clip in. He doesn't challenge him. He doesn't challenge him at all. He doesn't challenge the vaccines give you AIDS point. That would be the number one thing on the list of points made here by Todd Callender. That should be kind of refuted. I'm not sure.
Well, or you could just refute. Let me challenge you on this very narrow specifics of the timing of your insanity, as opposed to the sheer insanity. Let's go back to the AIDS thing so you can just watch this unfold. Because like for a moment, you're like, let me challenge you on that. And then let me proceed to really not challenge you on that.
Yeah.
And then you have the trickery with interchangeable or not, and is it a legally distinct thing or not? This is criminal intent. And until we address this as being that, we're stuck. We're not going to get over this.
So let me challenge you there.
Please.
That's way down the road. You got to do one step at a time. I mean, you got to do one step at a time. Everything you say may be true, okay? But really? Right now, the public views the vaccines as largely safe and effective. That vaccine injuries are rare and mild. That is the narrative. That's what the vast majority of the public accepts. So until we get a larger percentage of the population with their eyes open to, whoa, these vaccine injuries are real. Why? You got to do step by step. You can't leap to crimes against humanity. You can't leap to another Nuremberg trial.
You gotta set the table for the next Nuremberg.
It's a process critique.
This reminds
incrementalism, right?
It's incremental.
Reminds me of every debate that I've had with a libertarian, which ultimately ends with them going like, well, the problem is the American public just sees it wrong. They want things like healthcare and think that that's what we should be doing. Ron Johnson expresses that the problem we have now is that we have 200 million Americans who have gotten the vaccination, at least 1 or 2 shots, depending on which shot it is, at the very least. And the problem is that they have not contracted AIDS, and therefore they don't realize that they are about to contract AIDS, I guess. And
well, let me ask you this, Sam. You got 4 shots, so you got 4 AIDS. Now that you have COVID, do you feel like
I've had COVID?
Oh, that you had COVID, right? No more AIDS.
The COVID overcame the AIDS.
Yeah, good.
Is that what you're saying?
I'm just happy to hear that.
I don't know. The digital signal from the COVID
digital at all?
washes you of
AIDS.
But this is, I mean, I don't know if Ron Johnson's just so stupid that he believes this, but I mean, think about this is the way that he challenges him.
He doesn't want to push back on it, actually.
Wasn't it Ron Johnson who recently said the thing about how easy it is to buy committee seats or something like that? Was that him?
No, that was Mo Brooks.
Oh, Mo Brooks. Yeah. Gosh, I get those guys confused.
They look alike. Yeah.
Yeah, well, nonetheless, this is like a good little political education for these lunatics. Like, you gotta not like lead with the most the stuff that like gets you the clicks in the conspiracy forums. You gotta slow walk people a little bit until you can lead them to where you want to go with the AIDS vaccines.
They're not ready to take what's the pill that you take in the Matrix that enlightens you? The blue pill?
Blue pilled.
It's blue pill.
Yeah. No,
because red pill you get.
Damn it.
Is like
whatever. They're not ready to. They're not ready to see the light. You got to lead them to it first.
Yeah, you can't just start ground. From
AIDS.
Yeah, you can't start from just like a full stop to going right to the Nuremberg trials. But that's where we should be going. We should ultimately be at the Nuremberg trials, and everybody who was vaccinated should be at a Nuremberg trials.
As a million deaths, as we pass 1 million deaths, and I assume those counts are more conservative than the excess deaths totals that I think have had us pass 1 million deaths earlier than this. But the real problem is people are getting AIDS from the vaccines, apparently, according to a guy talking to a Republican congressman.
I mean,
Senator.
Shouldn't they be a little more sympathetic to the vaccinated and the people who are masking or people taking COVID seriously because they're the ones that got duped? And now they have AIDS, apparently. A little sympathy, right?